Hi everybody, welcome to our weekly roundup of Footy Property Live with Rob, Ratch and Millie. So this week we've had the Magic Round. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get to Brisbane. We would have liked to have been there, but we've been as crook as. So we're finally on the flip side of having a cold. But this week we're going to talk bottom of the mountains, Penrith.
Yeah. Western Suburbs and Tigers' favourite team.
Not.
No.
Anyhow, you digress already, Elliot.
Of course. Well, you got to start by digressing.
So we'll give a bit of history of the Penrith Panthers. They're only relatively new, founded in July 1966. They have won 4 titles though, 1991, 2003, which we actually were at the grand final.
That was an amazing time.
When they beat Eastern Suburbs. We were actually surrounded by Eastern Suburbs supporters at the time. We were going for Penrith, obviously. Yep. It was incredible. So fantastic. First time I've ever been to NRL grand final. And actually to see a team who weren't supposed to win was amazing. Then again in 2021 and 2022. So fantastic, they've won back-to-back premierships in that time. But I just want to preface this by saying that premiership winning teams aren't built overnight. It's actually based on your recruitment and your coaching team that you actually have and you're leading it. Like when Tim Sheens first came to West Tigers in the first one, he said, it's going to take a 4-year journey to get to a premiership. Well, that's exactly what has happened with the Penrith Panthers.
100%, yeah.
Is Anthony Griffiths is now the coach of St George and Gus Gild. They are the ones who built this premiership team and actually mined their juniors and their junior development in the Penrith area. Every other team across the NRL should actually look at what they're doing and copy it because they mentor their youth. They've got a great program for the up-and-coming league players and they don't let them go anywhere.
No, they don't. No.
So it actually wasn't the current coach who developed this premiership winning team that they've actually got now.
He's reaping the rewards.
He has. He's done exactly that. So. Yeah, anyway, we'll move on.
We'll move on.
The less we say, the better. So the current captain is Nathan Cleary and obviously the current coach is Ivan Cleary. We're no fans. The best known players is Mark Geyer, Royce Simmons, Greg Alexander, or Brandy Alexander, Freddie Fittler, and Brad Izzard.
Brad Izzard, that's just to name a few. They have the Chocolate Soldiers, as they used to be known.
Yeah.
Was an affectionate term, have actually supplied the NRL and the ARL in this time with some amazing players.
Yes, they have, yeah.
And their team now is amazing. They've got some very, very talented young guys going through that team.
Yeah, they're an exceptional team. I just don't like the theatrics when they score a goal. You haven't won the premiership.
Yeah.
Yeah, just play football. You're professional football. You're not there to do a song and dance at every try. Anyway, let's talk property, Rob. Because
how's that for a flick pass?
Yeah, let's talk property. Let's talk Penrith.
Penrith. Look, I remember going out to Penrith years and years ago, long before when they were like my West Tigers, where they weren't winning much, and it was a cold place, 60 kilometres from Sydney.
It's still cold.
It's still cold, and still 60 kilometres from Sydney. But wow, how has it come? The actual suburb of Penrith, which is different to the Penrith area, has just under 18,000 people.
It's not very big.
That's a big suburb as such. And it is amazing because the average house price out there is still below $1 million, around the 830,000 mark, with a unit around the 540,000. The interesting part is you will pay nearly the same rent for a house than what you will for a unit. So that shows a little bit. It's a very, very different demographic. Not a massive amount of units and townhouses, but more coming. Very, very high home ownership. It's a young area. It's grown like you wouldn't believe. A lot of people went there because they couldn't afford to buy anywhere else. And that's got nothing against Penrith because it has the most amazing shopping centre. It's got a good football field, an average football side. It's on a beautiful river. And it's got probably the best of it. And the P&N Hospital's fantastic. It really, truly is a great place to bring up a family. But still, it's only 31 days on market. And in the last 3 years, houses have gone up 37% and units around the 24%. So it has had very, very good growth. It has dropped like most of Sydney in the last 2 or 3 months, but all that is really is a correction. It is a fantastic place. There is lots of opportunity out there. Big homes on big blocks in a quality area. It really is a good place. I mean, we're only out there on Saturday night. We had to go and pick someone up from the train station. And the way they've transformed, they've kept one of the old pubs there, which is part of the shopping centre, and a magnificent eat street. And there's now all over the Penrith district. They've recreated this. It's like their own city. They don't have to go to Sydney.
But it's not just that though. If you look at the sporting facilities around Penrith, they've got the regatta that was held for the canoe regattas there. They've got the ski park.
Yes.
Penrith Panthers is an incredible
Which is the size
club.
of a suburb
it's
itself.
Massive. You can do one of those indoor skydiving adventures. They've got everything. So they're realistically, and you're at the base of the mountain. So your weekend escapes into, if you want to go to Bathurst or Orange or Lithgow up to Mudgee, you're a stone's throw. And then if you alternatively want to go down to the south coast, then you come across the Northern Road, which is now dual lane all the way. Then onto the freeway and off you go down to the south coast.
And they'll only be 20 minutes from the new airport.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
The best thing you could say is Penrith Rugby League's success has brought success to Penrith.
Yes.
You can link them all the way through. It's brought investment, it's brought jobs, and it's brought quality of life. And there's money being poured into that area now that never would have been if it wasn't for the football team. I mean, let's be honest, it's a very well-run club who donates a lot of money back into the community. And you can see now the fruits of that 5 or 6 years of hard work and now coming to see for everyone.
Yeah, it's a good area.
It is not a bad area.
Yeah, it's a good area if you want to raise a family, or even if you want to, if you're looking to downsize. It's got everything. You don't really need to leave the area. You're not far from the Hawkesbury. So the location's quite good. A train system into the city is quick. The XPT from Dubbo comes through there. The Blue Mountains line, so you can jump the Blue Mountains line and go virtually Blue Mountains, Strathfield Central. So it is it's quite quick if you are commuting to the city for work.
And some of the neighbouring suburbs like Glenmore Park, Emu Plains and all that, they have gone through the roof in value.
Yeah.
And they have exceptional value for a young family wanting to start out or someone wanting to buy a really, really nice home. By square meterage, you're not going to get much better in the western suburbs than you will in Penrith.
Yeah, no.
So the market itself, we were talking last week on interest rates, talking about how they're affected. The funny thing is, in Sydney, because of there's not a lot on the market, supply has dropped. Guess what? Property prices are starting to rise. And this is where you have to be careful. You've got to do your research. You've either got to use a buyer's agent or spend hours and hours and hours before you start looking, because there are pockets of Sydney that are rising quite quick. There are pockets that are just stagnated. But from the investor side of it, this is going to be in the next 12 months, I believe, a great opportunity for investors to come into the market. Most vacancy rates in most areas are hovering around the 1%. We have record rents, which means that if you're in a position to buy something and you're not overly geared, in other words, gearing means you're not highly borrowed against the value of the property, there will be some great opportunities out there if you want to buy and get into the market as an early investor, because there are no rentals and people have to rent. And it might sound you're making the most of a good situation, and people forget there are a lot of people now who don't want to buy a home. They're happy to rent because that's what they want to do. Like they move around, so there's a massive rental market out there.
But there is opportunity for people who are renting to rent invest. I don't think a lot of people actually understand what the terminology is. So you pick a locality that you would like to live in eventually, and you actually buy into the market and you rent it out. So you still rent where you are, but you actually buy an investment property. So you might not be able to actually buy a owner-occupied house or a unit, but you do have with an added income from the rental that affords you to be able to buy into the market as an investor. So it's really something that if you are struggling to get into the market, potentially you should actually explore. If you want to know more details, then you can contact us via our webpage, our Instagram, Facebook or LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And we can actually discuss it with you further. So let's talk a bit about life, Rob.
Oh, okay then, Rach. We've had our granddaughters living basically with us, coming and going the whole time.
Yes.
And one wasn't very well on the weekend. She was teething. So we've had some fun with that.
Yes.
And when the youngest one teethes and gets sick, she likes to cuddle Papa and snuggle in and go to sleep. So I'm sure anyone who's had young kids knows that feeling and knows what happens when they're teething. Luckily, I escaped that. She went home with Mum the other night and Mum had to change the nappies, not me, which I was quite happy about.
Yeah.
But it's been an eventful time. We also have a boarder for the next few weeks, at least. Rachel's mum's down with us from Trangie, which is out the back of Dubbo. She's come down because it's allowed, would you believe, even though it's 3-4 degrees here in Camden, it's still warmer than Trangie during winter.
Absolutely.
So you will hear us talk about Rachel's mum a little bit over the next few weeks. Well, her boarder, she lives up there and the grandkids get the opportunity to see their grandmother. Or their great-grandmother.
Yeah.
So which I think is absolute blessing and fantastic for them, fantastic for us. Have another person in the house puts me down another notch. So, you know.
Whatever, Elliot. Seriously.
Whatever, Elliot. So have you got any stories to do with your grandchild this week?
Not this week. Stay tuned for next week. So do like to say, though, the West played St George on the weekend. And as you all know, I'm a St George supporter. I couldn't watch the game.
I could.
I could not watch the game. Anyway, so West are on their 2-on trot.
We're on a roll.
Winning streak. Well,
we play South this week.
See what happens this weekend when they play the
Divine intervention, I think, is about the only thing.
When they play the mighty South. So that happens to Mum's team, so it's going to be an interesting weekend this weekend. So.
It will be. And I think next week we're actually going to be talking about downsizers, aren't we?
Yes. Yeah, actually, we're going to, yeah. So, I think it's when you get to a certain point in life, and you don't have to be retired to downsize, you can just be ready to downsize your living, whether it be your house or your unit, downsize the amount of furniture you've got, the space, for a more manageable and more maintenance, tolerable lifestyle, I think. So, you don't have to be mowing the backyard every weekend and, so.
So on a lighter note, Penrith, the suburb's going up. It's a great place. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Will Penrith win the competition in 2023?
No.
No?
No, they're not consistent.
Lost too many players?
I think, they're not. So the team they had in 2021, 2022, they no longer have.
Amazing.
They no longer have those. There have been players who've left. One came to West. So Coruscant, who's our current captain. So I think he's a huge hole they haven't been able to fill. And I just think they're still a good side, but they're not consistent with their wins.
No, they're not.
Souths
would be the early favourite.
My money's on Souths.
Yeah.
Yeah, my money is definitely on Souths. I can see Souths going all the way, actually. I don't think there is another side that is as consistent or has the depth what Souths do, and the fact that Souths are able to pull themselves out both mentally and physically and be prepared for each game. If they can just keep Latrell on the same even keel, like he lets his emotions get the better of him, and some teams actually know how to niggle him and throw him off. So if he can continue to overcome that, no one can beat them.
Yeah,
no one can beat them
at this moment, unless West get 15 on a roll.
No, it's not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
No, West.
Wishful thinking.
I do believe West will make the 8. I do believe if they seem to have got their mojo.
Yep.
And they know where they're headed, what their set plays are. They've really changed things around. I do see them making the 8, but that's it.
And I'll tell you, a dark horse to make the 8 is the Titans.
Dolphins.
And Dolphins. Wouldn't it be good if West, Dolphins and Titans all...
Yeah.
And Penrith, the Roosters and Manly were all out of the 8. That'd be heaven. Anyway, we better end it on that since all my friends are going to be ringing up and bagging me for bagging them.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, we are. Will you have an awesome week, everyone? Peace out.
All right. See you guys. Ciao.
Ciao.